Hello children, welcome to biology class. Today we are starting a new lesson, that is chapter 9, biomolecules. We have learnt about biomolecules, right? What are the biomolecules? Proteins, carbohydrate, lipids, enzymes and nucleic acids, right? We know that there is a wide variety of living organisms in the biosphere. Are all these living organisms made up of same kind of chemicals, elements or compounds? In chemistry, we learned how an elemental analysis is done, isn't it? If we go for elemental analysis for a plant material or an animal tissue or a microbial paste, we will obtain a list of elements such as carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, etc. Isn't it? And if we go for elemental analysis of a non-living material, for example, earth crust, we will obtain a list of elements. But keep it in mind, the list of elements present in a non-living material and a living tissue is the same. How is it possible? And now let's analyze or let's compare the elements in a non-living material and a living tissue. And we are starting the lesson biomolecules now, and according to the revised syllabus we have to learn the structure and function of all the biomolecules present in a living organism. Okay, so shall we start the class, children? Children, this table is there in our textbook. This table shows a comparison of elements present in non-living and living matter. Here we take earth crust as an example for non-living thing and human body as an example for living things. Okay. So here the presence of elements. Which are the elements present? Hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, sodium, calcium, magnesium and silicon. Children, you just note here the elements present in a non-living material and living thing is same. And what makes it different? Only there is a difference in the percentage of weight alone, isn't it? And one more table is there in our textbook, a list of representative inorganic constituents of living tissues. Presence of sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, water and other compounds are there. So in the point of view, from chemistry point of view, we can identify functional groups like aldehyde, ketones, aromatic compounds, etc. But from a biological point of view, we shall classify them into amino acids, nucleotide bases, fatty acids, etc. Okay, so first of all, let's discuss about amino acids. We know that these amino acids are the monomeric form of a polypeptide, isn't it? Which is that polypeptide? Yes, protein. So these amino acids are joined by producing a CONH bond and produce a polypeptide, and that is a protein. So now let's discuss about amino acids. They are organic compounds containing an amino group and an acidic group as substituents on the same carbon. See children, this is the carbon atom. As we all know, carbon's valency is 4. So it is filled by 4 groups. The first valency is filled by hydrogen. Next is by an amino group. Then by a functional group and a carboxyl group. So how can we define an amino acid? Amino acids are organic compounds containing an amino group, here NH2, and an acidic group COOH on the carbon atom. That's why we can call this carbon atom as alpha carbon. Hence they are called alpha amino acids. Clear? Then they are substituted methanes. We know that there are 4 substituent groups occupying the 4 valencies. Which are the 4 groups? You repeat with me. Hydrogen, amino group, a functional side chain, a functional group, then a carboxyl group. So the 4 valencies are filled now. And according to the difference in this side chain, there are different amino acids. See? Why this alpha here? Because this is a alpha carbon atom. Okay, see here children, the list of 20 amino acids are given here in this diagram. If the functional group is H, that amino acid is glycine, clear? And instead of hydrogen, if a methane group is there, CH3 is there, that amino acid will be alanine, clear? So like that, there is different amino acid, but the other three valencies are filled by the same groups, amino group, a carboxylic group and a hydrogen atom. Clear? Only difference is here in the functional group, and we represent that group by giving a letter R. See, in alanine, which is the functional group? CH, CH3, CH3, and cysteine, CH2, SH. In proline, CH2, CH2, CH2. See here in leucine, CH2, CH, CH3, CH3. In isoleucine, CH, CH3, CH, CH2, CH3. And methionine, CH2, CH2, SCH3. Tryptophan and phenylalanine, we can see aromatic rings here. And also in histidine. Then in tyrosine. Clear children? So, according to the or on the basis of this functional group, on the basis of the characteristics of the functional groups present on the fourth valency, there are 20 amino acids. There are a lot of amino acids, but the 20 however, those which occur in protein, there are only 20 amino acids. And on the basis of their characteristics, we can classify them as non-polar, that means not without charge, then polar, charged amino acids with positive charge and negative charge. Okay children? So in detail we will discuss in class 12, but keep it in mind, these are amino acids. These amino acids join by producing a peptide bond and produce a protein. Clear? Then about the properties of amino acids, the chemical and physical properties of amino acids are essentially of the amino, carboxyl and the R functional group. But based on the number of amino and carboxyl group, there are acidic, basic, neutral amino acids. See, here you can see aspartic acid and glutamic acid. These are acidic amino acids, and example for basic amino acids are lysine, arginine and histidine, and valine is a neutral amino acids because it is non-polar. These are non-polar amino acids. Clear children? Similarly, there are aromatic amino acids such as tyrosine and phenylalanine, tryptophan. And a particular property of amino acid is the ionized nature of NH2 and COH group. See here, you can see NH3 plus a positive charge and negative charge in the same amino acids. That's why this concept is or this charged amino acid is termed as sweeter ion. Okay, so in solution of different pH, the structure of amino acid changes. Clear children? Here it is at low pH, it is act as cation, and at high pH, it act as anion, and it occupy in a sweeter ion structure also. Clear? So that is the ionized nature of amino acids. So that's about amino acids. Then next one is lipids. Lipids are generally water insoluble. They could be simple fatty acids. A fatty acid has a carboxyl group attached to an R group. The R group, same as that of our amino acid, and this R group contain the R group could be methyl or ethyl or higher number of CH2 group. This higher number may be vary from 1 carbon to 19 carbon atoms. For example, palmitic acid. See, this is the structure of palmitic acid. Palmitic acid has 16 carbons including carboxyl group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, including this including the carboxyl group, there are 16 carbon atoms, whereas arachidonic acid has 20 carbon atoms, including the carboxyl group. So fatty acids could be saturated or unsaturated. Here children, another simple lipid is glycerol. See, this is the structure of glycerol, which is a trihydroxypropane. Many lipids have both glycerol and fatty acids. Here the fatty acids are found esterized with glycerol. They can be then monoglycerides, diglycerides and triglycerides. There are also called fats and oils based on melting point. Oils have lower melting point. Okay. Then some lipids have phosphorus and a phosphorylated organic compound. They are termed as phospholipids. So they are found in cell membrane. See, this is the structure of our cell membrane, and lecithin is one example. Some tissues, especially the neural tissues, have lipids with more complex structures. Next is about nucleotides. That is the monomeric form of nucleic acids. We know that living organisms have a number of carbon compounds in which the heterocyclic rings can be found. Some of these are nitrogen bases, adenine, guanine, cytosine, uracil and thymine. On the basis of the number of ring structure present in them, we can classify them as purine and pyrimidine. Children, guanine and adenine are purines having a 2-ring structure, whereas cytosine, thymine, uracil are included in pyrimidines. Clear? Then, if a phosphate group is, see here, only this nitrogen bases and sugar moiety is attached, it is termed as nucleoside. Whereas a phosphate group, you just imagine a phosphate group is attached with it, we can call it as nucleotide. And the DNA and RNA, these are the polypeptide forms of this nucleotide. That means not polypeptide, the polymeric forms of these nucleotides. Clear children? So if a phosphate group is also found esterified to the sugar, they are called nucleotides. So adenosine, guanosine, thymidine, uridine and cysteine are nucleoside, whereas the phosphate group attached, we can call it as nucleotides. Adenylate acid, thymidic acid, guanylate acid, uric acid and cystidylic acids, etc. So nucleic acids like DNA and RNA consist of nucleotides only. DNA and RNA functions as genetic material, that we know, isn't it? This DNA and RNA are their functions as genetic material. So that is about the introductory part. The diagrams of these monomeric forms of biomolecules are given in our textbook. In textbook you can see the diagrams. Children, you have to draw and study those diagrams. Okay, the detailed structure of biomolecules we will discuss in next class. Today you read the textbook thoroughly. Okay, you read a lot and answer the test questions. Okay children, thank you.